The safety path maintenance project was planned for just north of Volunteer Park to Princeton, goes out for bid this week. We expect to receive bids and award the project sometime in early April. We continue to have meetings with the Oakland County administrators regarding the southwest part of the county as it relates to the transit millage. I'll be continually updating council as well as at these meetings as those discussions continue. Our 150th anniversary, we're reviewing those opportunities. I want to thank assistance of the Cultural Arts Commission and the Historic Districts Commission regarding our logo that we have presented here for the 150th anniversary. You're going to start seeing this located all around the city and items related to every single event that we have within the city. I think they did an excellent job incorporating some of the history of the community as well as obviously the patriotic colors, the red, white, and blue. Pontiac Trail road improvement and storm sewer improvements. As I mentioned previously, we continue to move forward with that planned project for the year 2026. At the end of this year, we're going to be starting to see some individuals doing some gathering of data and surveying that particular area. This is going to entail the paving as well as storm sewer improvements from the railroad tracks all the way down to 9 Mile. As you recall, last December, a year and a half ago December, we were awarded over $2 million in federal funding for that road portion of the project. And just last week, we received confirmation that we received an additional $2.8 million in federal funding for that project, and this is due to the storm sewer portion of the project. So that brings the total grants to be received for that project alone to over $5.1 million. So that's an $8+ million project. $5.1 million is going to be funded by the federal government, and it will be under $1 million for the city of South Lyon to actually pay for that, because we'll also have partners with the Road Commission and the Water Resource Commission as well as Oakland County. In relationship to the ice storm, our crews continue to work on tending to the damage that was caused by the ice storm. And now ice storms, unfortunately, happened again today. The departments did an excellent job maintaining our streets and removing and cutting debris. I ask our residents, please be patient with our staff as removal efforts continue. I want to bring up a comment that was made regarding Chief Thornton. I'll be working with Joy regarding when we do receive that truck and try to think of the best way to try to let residents know what's going on. And I think it was an excellent idea about the tracking, just like Santa Claus. I'm not sure how we can do the NORAD tracking in this fire truck, but we'll do something so everybody's going to be aware when it does happen. And we'll also bring, obviously, to Joey's plan, firehouse or the open house that he's planning. And the last is the police department. Congratulate them on all the hard work that they did. Appreciate Chief Solvik and Chief Baki's efforts and the rest of the team in working on that. It's been a lot of work. I know they've made several reports to council over the last couple of years. But when you get to be in the 10% of the groups of the law enforcement agencies within the state of Michigan, it really lends itself to the high standing of the department. And that's all I have. We haven't answered any questions that anybody may have.
Councilmember Dole.
Thank you. I don't know if we have any capacity for this, but as the ice storm was going on, I saw a lot of residents staying home in the cold. Is there any way that when we have schools or anything else that do have electricity that we can do work with the schools or somewhere to do warming? I know we lost power here, but that we could do some kind of warming stations or charging stations or something for the residents so that people could at least get a break. Obviously, we don't have our electricity out this long all the time, but I think it would have been very helpful if we could have done that, something like that.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have any established, there are the established ones through Oakland County that we've had in the past for when people lost power. But I just recently had conversations with the superintendent of South Lyon Schools, the township supervisor of Lyon Township, and Greeno Township. And we discussed regarding warming centers and trying to put some of the locations potentially on the map where we know they can gather in just in case of an emergency. So we'll continue to have those conversations. So we just had a conversation again today on it.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Chris.
I do want to let you know that Aubrey's was open this weekend. They were about maybe the only place. And Charles was doing everything he could to accommodate families that were coming in. He was letting them stay, allow people to just sort of, sit wherever they could sit. He had a back room. He didn't care if they bought food or not. So I want to thank Charles for the incredible accommodations that he provided to the community this weekend. And he did it out of the goodness of his heart for the people in South Lyon. So And they were packed, Aubrey's was packed all weekend long.
Like, yeah.
Good cousin.
Yeah.
Two questions, Paul. So with 5 million contributor already received for the $8 million project, assume the balance is to be, we're trying to get from Oakland County on that?
Yeah, the road commission as a commitment is already for that because there is the drain project and the road project, so that leaves our portion is going to be just under $1 million. As I started to compute some additional numbers through our tri-party program, which is part of through the road commission of Oakland County itself, and the city of South Lyon. So it will be under $1 million for an $8 million project.
So with the commitment that we have and the other parties have agreed to their portion?
Yes, they're committed to it based upon the funding, because this actually is a county road.
Okay, so does that move the project up on the calendar from 25, 26 at all?
No, it does not. That's designated for that 26. That's how we're receiving funding through the federal aid for those specific years and those specific years only.
So the other question deals with the generator out at the wastewater treatment plant. So for the benefit of those who don't know, they were without power for the last 5 days. That emergency generator has been providing power to make sure that things are flowing smoothly, so to speak. It had a hiccup today after the power came back on and that. So I know that we've approved replacing that. Is there something going to happen going forward that's going to accelerate the speccing that out and replacing it?
Well, it won't necessarily accelerate because we're going through the process and making sure that we get the proper generator for that site. The other things that we were discussing additionally is that we were looking at potential for some solar power also for that, but we could potentially receive a rebate of almost 30% on a generator, so that can assist us also. But that wasn't going to necessarily hold us up or speed us up in the process. But I want people to know that the generator is operating weekly. We do the testing every single week to ensure that it operates properly. It was operating for 5 days. The generator went offline when the power came back on this morning. And then we had another power outage, and then the generator didn't kick on immediately. As a precaution, we decided, okay, let's initiate some things, working with Michigan Seamless 2, working with the residents, so what potentially could happen by the time we get another generator out here, hooked up to the building in case ours does not come back on. So within the hour, it was back on and ready. The staff worked together with the company who does the maintenance on the generator, got it back up and running, so everything is still continuing to run, and then the power came back on again and the generator went off. So unfortunately, those things happen when you least expect them. We're happy that the generator was operating for 5 days. It was working as needed, but it was time, and it still is time that we're going to move forward. We've already had discussions with our engineers today about it to make sure we continue to move forward because we knew we'd be receiving questions and people asking what's going on, so we want to continue that we move that process forward.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Moving on to council comments. Let's start with Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Ron Ziegler for coming in this evening and talking about South Lyon area assistance. I've seen enough videos of young high school kids beating up other high school kids. It's an ugly scene out there. And if you can save one kid from getting beat up and retraining and reprogramming what unfortunately is an ugly culture that we're living in now with our youth. Don't have the answers, I have my suspicions, but we're dealt with the end product. And thank you for doing whatever you are doing to assist the transition from those that are having issues and moving them into a more society that accepts law and order and accepts, quite frankly, the dignity of life. Because that's part of the problem. We don't respect life. All you gotta do is punch it in the face, kick it in the stomach, and you don't. So thank you very, very much. Next, I would like to also thank Sharon from Active Faith. Sharon, I just want to let you know, I sat on the board of directors for many years at Active Faith, and I do want to let you know that the history of that organization was always about dreams. It was always about moving forward. It was always about what could we do better for the clients that we are now experiencing. And I want to thank you for the dream that you have. It's important that directors like you at Active Faith have those dreams. because that building is there because somebody had a dream. They wanted to take the distribution of food and clothing, you know, out of somebody's closet, out of somebody's garage, and say, can we put it in a home or an environment where there is a better place to do this? We got the building. I was there and we got the building. I worked on that transaction. I worked on the transaction that got you the building that you conduct most of your business out of. But there's a new dream on the horizon, and it's an okay dream. It's a good dream, and I'll stand behind you on that. So thank you for all your work. Okay. And last, I want to thank DPW for their incredible work. They were working around the clock. So I think this year, I'm going to ask in the budget that we expand the lounge room over at DPW and give those gentlemen a little bit more of a comfort space, because it's clear to me that this is the most dedicated department in the city. I heard those trucks at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and then I saw them back out at 7, 8 in the morning. They were cutting trees down. This department did not sleep for almost 3 days. So thank you, DPW. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody. Just a great job. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kurtzwell. Councilmember Mosher.
Yeah, I would just thank you. I would just like to hop on Maggie's train there and say thank you to all of our employees. Every last department, police, fire, water and sewer, administration, and the DPW. I don't know how the guys did it. They were out. They kept our streets clean. Everybody kept our city safe, even though we were out of power for a while. Really appreciate that, and I want to say thank you for finally getting some of our volunteer positions filled. It's nice to see. We started planning for Pumpkin Fest already, and we're going to need volunteers for that. So if y'all know anybody, send them to the website to sign up. And the last thing is, don't forget Carnival this weekend. It's going to be a great time. See everybody there.
Thank you, Councilmember Mosher. Councilmember Hanson.
I wanted to thank everyone on council for helping to support my invitation letter to other leaders within the state. We've actually had quite a few that are trying to work into their schedule to come out. So far, Senator Rinstead has said that he will come out. Commissioner Weipert's going to be there, as well as State Representative Jason Morgan. But we are having, we've actually had communication from state level leaders that will essentially be helping to put our event on the map. So thank you again to council. I did want to kind of echo what our first two council members did comment on, thanking first responders, not to mention our city staff, but especially the utility workers on the ground throughout this disastrous ice storm. Over 10,000 of our city residents were without power at some point over the past week, many for days on end. And without the long hours in the most horrible weather, we would not be where we are now if those individuals had not put in the time and getting our residents power restored. So definitely thank you very much. Unfortunately, my frustration and disappointment with DTE corporate is another story. Last week, DTE reported profits for 2022 of $1.1 billion. Now, in 2021, the corporate profits were over $907 million. Now, this comes on the heels of DTE asking for a 13.9% rate increase across the board, residents and commercial entities. Now, this is the highest rate increase in the state of Michigan history. Now, I'd like to remind our residents that they do have the option to the Michigan Public Service Commission to submit their opinions to vote no on that rate increase. DTE justifies the increase by saying it is needed to implement a major capital investment program to improve reliability and resilience in the power grid. Now, but as citizens of the utility board and other groups have found out and shown through testimony at last November's rate increase that this is not necessarily the case. Now, the problem is DTE justifies the plans for the increased funds that it obviously is not, they are saying that it's cost effective, but these groups have actually shown that it is not the most cost effective use of utility client funds. The problem we need to remember is that consistently the investment priorities for this company have been aimed more at enriching the DTE shareholders by investing more capital that generates a return for the utility rather than spending the money more smartly to get better improvements in grid reliability while also saving money for the ratepayers. So think about submitting your comments on the rate case. That's rate case U-21297 at the Michigan Public Service Commission. As you do, think about the family that was huddled in the cold for the last several days. Think about the utility worker that was doing 16-hour shifts and was working these long hours to fix the down power lines that could be fixed by the utility, by this corporate entity. Now, a company with $1.1 billion in profits should not need us to pay for the power lines and grid improvements so that executives can keep enjoying the profits. So tell the MPSC no on this rate increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanson. Councilmember Kip.
I'm good.
Councilmember Dill.
Thank you. Enjoyed that passionate speech. I just wanted to say thank you again to our crews. I could not believe when I woke up in the morning that there was no ice on the roads at all. And I had no power, and I had to get out of town, so it was great to know that I wasn't going to be sliding around. No ice when I couldn't even get down my own driveway. Obviously, also thank you to the police and fire for keeping us all safe. And I want to thank our new members of the Housing Commission and the Zoning Board and all the reappointments for their continued commitment. We could not run the city without these volunteers. We really appreciate it. I want to say congrats to Duolino. I know it's been a long time coming. I'm so sad that I will miss the ribbon cutting, but I did get my reservation, so I'm very excited about eating there. And I just want to ask everybody to have a little patience. They are brand new. And let them work out the bugs while we get in there. I know we're all very excited. And I also wanted to thank Sharon for coming and just put out there that I know that we saw the call on social media from Active Faith that they're saying that the people who need donations are growing and their donations aren't necessarily going at the same level. So please, you can always message Active Faith and ask what is the most important thing you need right now. We do that. I'm in an organization right now that we do that every month. What do you need? And then please just ask if you could donate some things for them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dill. Tonight, I just want to recognize and thank the new volunteers for the city's boards and commissions, as well as the current volunteers who have had their terms renewed. Your involvement and participation truly helps maintain and improve the quality of life for the residents in our city. Again, just like the other council members did, I want to thank the DPW for the long days and nights that they worked to help make sure things worked properly, cleared the branches, made the roadways safe for the residents in the city, along with the first responders that were always there, whether it was trees down across the Lake Street, medical emergencies, assisting where assistance was needed. So thank you all very much. That's all I have. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Kurzweil.
Thank you. Move to adjourn?
Thank you very much, everybody.